Right then, so we had some little teaser pictures that we put up on Facebook and Instagram. Quite a few people had a little guess of what we'd got. A few people were very close. I'm not sure if anybody 100% got it. Daniel nod and tell me whether somebody got it nailed on or not. I'm not sure. No, I don't think they did. So it's a new project. I sort of said to Scott he wanted another car, so he got rid of his Q5, SQ5, and got rid of a few other cars. And his missus had got rid of her car, so she's just running about in a Scirocco she bought off one of the lads who works here. So Scott wanted something that he can get four or five people in and ferry him about. So he said he was going to get a A4 3 litre Quattro. So took a wedge of cash with him when they went racing, went and picked it up on the way home, and what he came back with were an A4 3 litre, he said, and he was being very sort of clever with his wording. So when I went for a drive in it, not knowing auto bike car, I'd not even put reg into our reg checker or all like that. Went for a run in it, it was a bit damp and it wheel spun. But that's a bit odd, you know what I mean? If he's bought an Audi Quattro, it shouldn't be wheel spinning, it just doesn't happen. So when people were guessing and saying it were a 2 litre because it's only got a single exit exhaust, in these new ones, it's a B9 platform, I think that's when they went over to it. They do a, oh dear, I've not unlocked it. You done this to me for Melon. They do a 3 litre Audi. Where's that thing? Yeah, V6 TDI. It's a 3 litre because they did used to do a 2.7 in the earlier ones, but everything's a 3 litre now. So what this is, Scott's infinite wisdom for his new project car. It's front wheel drive. So, well done Scott, you've done us proud. It'd be nice to have 500 horsepower roasting front tyres, so I think that does change the dynamics of what this car's going to end up being, because it's still got, I think this is 215 horsepower standard. That turbo that's on here, I don't think you'll be able to see nameplate at all, or maybe you can. Yeah, GTD 2060 VZ, so that's the same all the way up to the 286 horsepowers, I believe. There's some change over, but basically the full engine is pretty much the same on this as it is all the way up to the 286s. The only thing that you can get is some of the bigger cars with the 286 and the Porsche Panamera and Cayennes that get the 300 horsepower version of this engine, they've got a bigger turbo. That's a GTD 2263, which these have both got extended tips, so they're a bit bigger compressor side, but they've all got the similar engine. So in theory, with just a bolt-on turbo, couple of other little mods, this could be well over 300 horsepower. So the plan with this initially is just to put a remap on it and leave it at that pretty much. But we are going to use it for some development of the products. But I think Scott wants to just leave all the emission stuff on for when he's driving it about, because it's not going to be, because it's front wheel drive, it's not going to be the absolute balls out crazy project like RA5 is. Something like that could come later. So we're going to use this as a bit of a guinea pig to make some of the components that we need. Obviously we've got a bit of consideration now to make sure we don't build a downpipe that only fits a front wheel drive and not a Quattro. Whether they're totally different, we can't make one fit the other, we'll see. The ECU on these, they've gone completely full circle, and looks like somebody's already unbolted this at some point. They've gone completely full circle on these. They used to put the ECUs in an horrible to get to place with a big cage around them and all stuff like that. This being the new MD1, which is like the latest ECU that any of these cars have got, you can just take it straight out. So it's a bit strange. Don't know why they've done that. Maybe they were being a bit cocksure of themselves at Bosch, saying that we can't read these ECUs anyway, so we'll not bother protecting them. And here we are. You can just plug a couple of wires in and read it. So you can't do these via OBD at the minute. I'm not sure any tool does. So you've got to bench it each time, which means plugging a wire that we've made and away you go. So we've done a few of these already. So yeah, I don't know what Scott's other plans are, because there's people that watch our YouTube channel and keep an eye on what we're up to. We're absolutely flat out with race cars, with customer builds. We've only got 2 full-time mechanics. There's only so much time in the day, so I'm not sure what Scott's plan really is. I'm hoping he's not got anything more than what we've already discussed planned. If he has, he's not told me about it and he'll be hiding it, but I'm sure at some point I'll go home early one day, or I'll have a few days off and I'll come back and there'll be loads of fancy bits bolted to this car, but let's see. Danny probably knows and he'll be holding back on me, because him and Scott like to discuss these sort of things when I'm not here as well. So yeah, if you want an Audi Quattro but don't want to pay the extra fuel dragging a 4-wheel drive system around is, do what Scott's done and don't buy an Audi Quattro, buy a front-wheel drive 3 litre. But I don't know why he's done it to me, but he always does. So we'll do a little bit more about this car as we have a play. I'm hoping at some point we get it on dyno and we can do a remap on it and see what power we can get out of it, and then that's the baseline to start doing whatever else happens. So thank you for watching. So we finally got time to get the Audi onto the dyno. So it runs pretty well, and if you didn't gather from my previous exploits, you'll see when it runs on the dyno that only the front wheels are turning. Blame Scott. So this is what power we've ended up with. So standard, that's 220. So this is a 218 horsepower car. So that's bang on. And that's about 320 foot-pound of torque, a little bit in a dip and where have you. But yeah, about 320, fairly nice, flat torque curve, over 300 from basically as low RPM as you can get it to start on dyno, all the way to 3700. So that's where everybody's going to drive it, in peak torque region. So nice tune, still keeping everything on there, all the emission stuff, it's all still intact. We just tipped over 300. And what we got, 410, 420 foot-pound of torque on average, a little bit in a blip to about 430, but again, from 1800 to 3700, we've still got 400 foot-pound of torque, so it's over 100 foot-pound increase in sort of that rev range, and it's stayed all the way along. So you can see from the standard curves here that after 4 grand this engine's limited. Now the engine in this is identical to the 272 horsepower, but they're Quattro, and they've got a different gearbox as well. But there might be one in between that's got the DL501. I can't remember off the top of my head. We'll try and figure that out, and if we can, clarify. But the 272 is the same. All they're going to do with them is drop the torque limiters, which means you'll have less torque at the bottom end, but then you can see it from 4 grand onwards, it's just really flat, whereas you'd expect it to sort of follow this trend where peak power's near 4.5 grand when It's where most standardish diesels make the peak power, when they're tuned at least. So the engine's the same, so we know that this can do more than the 300. So I'll just... So that's a bit annoying how it's done that, didn't do that earlier. So that's what we've had earlier on that. So we've had a nice smoother torque curve, nearer to 450, probably 445, and another 17 horsepower pretty much everywhere. The problem with that is then we always do the test before we get it on the road, put it on a longer pull that's a bit more representative of the road in different gears as well. With these having a small and a big clutch, you're better off going one gear lower than you are on the dyno and going through another couple of gears if you can. As soon as you got it loaded up, the clutch has just slipped. And as soon as the clutch has slipped, the gearbox senses that that's happening. It sees that the engine revs are going up, the road speed's not. It just goes into clutch protection, which you can turn all that off if you want to. We've done a bit of work on the gearbox to make this happen. So we've got an higher clutch pressure, but even at, I think we're 17 bar standard, 20 bar now, even with 20 bar, it's not enough to stop the clutches slipping. We can't get any more than that. As soon as it slips, revs go mad, engine ECU and gearbox ECU both bab the pants, puts you into limp mode. So with the DL501 in the Quattros, or the ZF8 that the 272s get, with that we can definitely get that sort of power. Whether this dyno tells us that with a four-wheel drive system, it's got the compensation, but you never quite know, especially autos can be a bit more soggy compared to a DSG, so you get a little bit more transmission losses that are not really representative on a dyno dynamics. But that should be what we can get. So we're hoping, if people are asking, we're going to quote 310, 315 on these engines if they're in the four-wheel drives. 300 is what's realistic for the front-wheel drive, which in something that's a fair bit lighter, I can't remember exactly whether we can clarify that again, but it's a fair bit lighter than the Quattro. It is good, and don't get me wrong, I love the safety that you get from a Quattro system and the drivability in wet weather and in the snow and stuff like that. But for general day-to-day driving, these front-wheel drive ones are not that bad. It's pretty good on fuel. It's doing over 50 to the gallon cruising about. They'd definitely be better if you started deleting DPFs and stuff, but that's not what we're going to do for these projects. So hopefully this has been a bit interesting to people who are thinking of buying one of these and saw the front-wheel drive ones before Scott did, and they're thinking, is it something to have? The V6 engine is really nice and quiet, and in the front-wheel drive form, really, really economical. Put a set of winter tyres on it and you'd be hard pushed to tell them, unless you want to do donuts and stuff like that. But so yeah, hopefully it's been informative. There's going to be a little bit more stuff happening with this project. Obviously not going to get much more power out of it, I wouldn't have thought. But as usual, Scott says it's not going to be a project. And I'm sure I've seen some brakes and wheels and stuff like that kicking about. So I'm hoping he don't do out too crazy, because we've got enough going on at the minute. So comment below if you want to know anything else, and everything we know about the car at the minute will be in the description.